You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
Woo! I didn't break something. I didn't break anything. Whoa! We're live and we're on the Meta Show. And Vince looks unimpressed.
Oh, sorry,
there you go.
I should look impressed. There we go.
No, jazz hands.
You gotta do my thing. Jazz hands. There we are. Excellent. Well, we've got a great show today. We actually have a lot of people who are going to be here as guests or filling in. As you can see already, we have Boneytooth, who is the leader of the Ministry of Love and has come back to join us. He was a guest just a few weeks ago. And we're going to be talking a lot about Burnjita. In fact, are we streaming Burnjita live? Is that in the background?
Yes, that's in the background. So we have, right now we're looking at the perimeter gate because there was an Ark that was just attempted to be killed earlier, but he signed out right before he died. And,
that is... Oh.
Yeah, I laughed. And then another Ark, like 2 seconds later, got scanned. The second he got scanned, he signed out. So it was wonderful.
So we have a lot of interesting things today. So as you guys know, we're now doing an international segment every Meta Show, and we have the next 2 weeks of guests planned. This week we're going to be talking to Gagi from one of our Fringe corporations within Goonswarm, and he's going to be talking about the Fringe community. And next week we have found a member of our Chinese community who is going to be able to stay up really, really late and tell us all in his native tongue, and of course also in English for the rest of our viewership about what's been happening with PLA and that hilarious Rorqual loss from a couple of weeks ago. So very excited about that. But before we dive into talking to Boneytooth about Burnjita or talking to Gagi about the French community, we are going to be talking about what is next for Imperium News. We have a new subscriber. Excellent. Iceberg, 27 months in a row.
Yep,
Holy crap.
That's
and,
a long time.
Nanok Helsinki, 14 months in a row. Thank you, dude. And I thought I saw earlier, in terms of shoutouts, Captain Stu 72 with Twitch Prime. Thank you, dude.
Yes, and Wicked Cynic. Yay!
Wicked Cynic. So ICE is, in fact, coming to Twitch. So what are we doing here? Twitch has finally allowed us to change names on the channel. As you guys might have heard from the stories of the media empire and its birth, the person who originally suggested that the channel and the site be named Mittani.com was not me. I wanted to call it something like Internet Spaceship News. It was, amusingly enough, Indy, the CEO of Bad Country, who loudly insisted that it should be the Mittani.com to leverage the brand and blah, 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 blah. Now, of course, later Indy was seen saying that we were all terrible people and leaving the Imperium partially because the Mittani.com being named the Mittani.com, it was bad and wrong, and why would you name it after yourself, and you're so bad. It was literally Indy's idea. But now, with the Twitch name change, of course, Imperium.news, and now we are able to change the name of the Twitch channel. It is, as you see, Twitch TV/Imperium News. The last vestiges of all that crap is out of the way. Now, part of that means that our INN creative team is led by Matterall, our creative director, who is here today as a brief guest here right at the start. New followers, new subscribers, Zalman, 4 months, Rumwaffle,
Sally
28
Solomon,
months,
too.
Sally
3
Salomon
months.
for 3 months. Oh, awesome, dudes. Thank you.
And
we
our
have new
first
emotes
donation
channel
has
you can
arrived.
see, actually, for the multi-dollar media empire. You can spam INN TV as the prefix, INN itself, to get like the eye in the triangle thing. That's an example of the cool shit that the creative department has come up with. We also have a Commissar emote. Donation, bronze donation, SRP denied, fuck you, I'm out of here. That's pretty hilarious.
That's Captain Longbow, that's Sharar's nickname there.
Dr. Mortis 6, excellent, thank you, dude. So if you check this out, actually, I don't know what the Commissar emote symbol is.
I don't know that, but we have someone here that can tell us all about this.
I was commissaring people just the other day on my yesterday on my stream. It was beautiful. So I would ban some motherfucker from chat. And everybody would spam the commissar emote. So let's go ahead, and Matterall is going to be talking to us. There we go. The Poxbox just got it. INNTTV commissar.
Wow.
Again, that works perfectly. Yeah, so whenever you get to watch me call somebody out and then ban them from the channel, you can spam.
Dude, I have some.
Dude,
that's perfect because I ban people all the time, so that's actually wonderful.
Incubus, 10 months. Thanks, man. And let's go ahead and hand things over to Matterall. Matterall, of course, you're not on screen here, but you're with us in spirit, and you can see him So tell us about yourself and tell us what you have to have Boat show us today.
Yeah, well, I generally came over because I was writing articles, and I thought I'd write for TMC. That turned into, hey, why don't I make some artwork for you? Because I'm a former movie poster designer or entertainment artwork. Did that for a decade, and plus some. And just I've been doing it just as a hobby and stuff. But I thought, I'll apply that skill set too. So I started doing some artwork and for guys. Then we formed this creative department to do really a whole look. And that's what this effort is. We have a creative department in INN. It's got about 12 people in it, all kind of working on different projects to make everything look polished and professional and that sort of thing. So over the next few weeks, I think you'll start to see a lot of stuff getting rolled out. We've been working for a while, but you'll see some really cool stuff coming. And we have today the first, big stone, the keystone in this, and that's going to be our station identification for the Imperium News, if you guys want to see that.
Yes, so we're going to show that right now.
Oh, gold donation. Wow.
Yeah, $30.
$30. Now you guys can actually see. Thank you, dude. Yeah. You can see that we have different levels of donation.
He didn't even say anything, so thank you. That's awesome. If you wanted to
that's
say
really
anything.
cool. Awesome. So we're working more, as you guys can see. We still haven't reconciled everything. So there's things like we need to get the outputs for follower, subscriber, etc. in the proper font. But you can see generally we've got better overlays, better alerts, better emotes, and we want to hear from you. We're actually going to be having a forum added to the Twitch info panels that allows you guys to give us feedback, even if it's just like,
oh, look, a silver donation, $10. So perfect. Wow. We've got all three
Excellent.
Now today.
Gold is the highest donation level, and so I think after $25 you get to see the gold, and silver is anything between 10 and 25, I believe. So thank you guys so much. And now, Matterall, why don't you, let's see what we have here. Just some Dankieskis for everybody to supply some course or Desies to kill puppies, but I miss your beat. That's pretty awesome. Okay.
So yeah, I have the video to play that Matterall has just designed. It has just been released. Like, he literally messaged me a half hour ago. I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to stop by your show. We're going to have a cool video. And I'm like, okay, cool. So here we go. Without further ado.
Actually, turn the music on. I haven't heard the music yet for this either, so I'm going to
give me half a second to make sure something here, because I might have broke something. There. All right, I pressed this button. Maybe this will work. Perfect, it worked.
Did you? It's probably over now for everybody else, and I'm watching.
Did you see it
show up on the stream now? And holy fuck, that's badass.
Yeah, so that's our new station.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's our new station identification video that we're gonna have to play like every hour. Just press it. And then...
That's badass as
fuck.
That
is badass, and the credit goes to Corin Moore from the INN creative team. He's one of our art directors.
Same badass who made the follower and subscriber donation alerts.
Yes, yes. So
yeah, that's right.
Another cool thing about that is with OBS, I just press it, it turns it on, and I could even set it to show up every hour on the hour, and I don't have to do
people want to see it again.
So do we show it again?
Again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Let's show people, give them what they want.
There we go. Wonderful. Perfect! Everyone gets to see it. Well, I get...
I'm glad that you said when we're done with it, because everybody else who's on the stream here that we're watching it, like votes.
Yeah, I'm the one that gets to see it live.
Yeah. So somebody was also saying that we need to get James Earl Jones style voice to say this is INN, and so actually that's a really good idea. If we can find somebody who is,
we have someone that does that. I have a guy who does voices. He did it for the Asher Hour. He has a really deep what's it called? Baritone voice. So I know someone. I can find someone for that. Cool, another donation. Thank you, Captain Longbone. That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad you guys like that. I just want to say that, again, Corin Mar did that for us. He's part of the INN team. As Ray Zorian, who does amazing stuff. He's shooting a lot of stuff for Bernjita right now that you'll start seeing come out later. Beautiful photographs. We have Samuel Uller doing the little emoticons and emojis you guys are seeing. So we have a great group. If you guys want to join a team with good people, these are all really nice people, and they're really helpful, and we kind of teach each other stuff. It's a great environment. So.
It's a bunch of professionals from the real world. That's another thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually drop the link here in chat. It says writers join us, but it is actually for it also includes for streamers and for people looking to join the creative team. But one of the things about it is, you know, a lot of the people in the team that have been assembled for INN Creative are like literally like they work in film in, you know, not Hollywood, but in Santa Monica and other areas around that, and, you know, people who have like very real world experience with this. So if you do get to join the department, the reason why we have such good creative output is because the talents of the people involved are professional grade. So it's a neat crew. They're making great stuff, and I love it. That is, I have not seen that before. I saw some of the early work in progress versions of it.
I had no idea.
Fond, and I didn't hear any of the sound.
Yeah.
That was.
I had no idea we were even getting that. Like, till about, like I said, about 30 minutes ago, like, oh, we got this thing for you. It's like, oh, okay. But the cool thing about it, too, is we always make the joke of we report and we decide, and that the whole decryption thing, it's like you're decrypting Eve News to just report it however we feel like it.
Fear and balanced news. Somebody is saying that the stream died, but that would be unusual. It doesn't look like the stream's died to me.
I'm saying it. Yeah, I wanted to explain it a little bit because Matani and I were talking about, like, you know, what's the essence of the Imperium News. It's the voice of Imperium, and then we kind of went from there, and we got into this kind of you know, outlaw empire that is, you know, is not really subject to rules it doesn't want to agree with, kind of thing. And so we went from there to what's that look like? You know, a symbol that everybody identifies with, but it's not overt. It's not everywhere. It's kind of a hidden symbol, like you would see something plastered on a wall in some alley somewhere. And it went from there to, well, in the future that would look like code, you know, so black code. And then we kind of went into that, and Corin provided some really good idea with that when he did some visuals, and it's like, that's it. You know, the hidden code is Imperium News, and it talks to everybody who knows about it, who's in it.
Yeah, I think that you know, trying to exactly determine how to do proper creative means that you have to sort of figure out what is the essence of the message you're trying to communicate. One of the reasons why people you know, had a lot of affiliation, I think, with the old coalition name, which I also came up with and then changed to the Imperium, was the Clusterfuck, right? And for a long time, I've annoyed the Ministry of Truth, which is our propaganda department, to try to come up with a better way of a tagline to describe what the Imperium really is intended to be, because it's not intended to be space Rome. It could be space Rome for assholes, but there is always this element of everybody has tried to get us to play their way. Everybody has tried to say, you should do this, you should do that, and we have formed, you know, we are empire builders, and we formed this empire essentially to defend a bunch of outlaws who didn't want to do what the status quo insisted that we should do. So actually, and we still can't print this anywhere, but for me personally, when I think of a tagline for the Imperium, I don't think unity, discipline, victory. What I think is the Imperium because fuck you, that's why.
Yeah.
And that's actually like the same sort of attitude that I had with the Clusterfuck, but we can't put that on posters, I guess.
Well, you could.
I mean, the Imperium because fuck you,
well,
that's why.
I mean, you could. I mean, without putting "fuck you," that's why. I mean, there's other ways to do it.
Condi.
Join because
but anyway,
we say.
We are about 20 minutes in. We're still in our intro sequence. What we're going to be doing after this is should probably let Matterall go. We're going to be talking, of course, about Bernjita.
Thanks, Matterall.
Thank you, guys. See you later. Have a good show.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matterall. That was fantastic. We're going to talk about Bernjita, of course. We're going to be talking about some of the happenings in EVE. There have been massive fights with the Initiative and Pandemic Horde.
And PL.
It actually looks like right now, as we speak, PL might be redeploying, which is
yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Patch changes in terms of nerfs to fighters, Rorqual changes, and of course between the top story and actually, do we want to do Bernjita might take a while. Do we want to do International Power Hour next?
Yeah, we could do it next. Because Gaggy informs me that he is mildly intoxicated, so I don't want to keep him. If
Drunken Frenchman.
Yeah, so if he's enjoying his drunken day,
It is Saturday.
Now, so I am going to have to contact our lovely art department because I don't have an international thing. I thought about using like a symbol of the UNN, playing as a video, but I haven't come up with one yet. So we are going to have to find something for that. But we will do before we move on to... Oh, hey, hold on a second. We might have a gank here.
We might have a gank.
Oh,
okay.
Well,
while we're talking about that,
we're
going to go ahead and hand things over to Goggy.
Yes.
Why don't you say hello and introduce yourself, dude?
Bonjour. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can hear just fine. Go ahead.
Previously
Perfect.
speaking, his microphone wasn't working, so we're having lots of Discord issues.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
because he had two Discords running. He had the client side and the web app at the same time. So.
Yeah, I had some problem with the Discord. The notice was short that I don't know what to say, but the French community in Eve is somewhat important, and we
it's
are a
massive.
lot.
It's a very large community as far as the international segment. There's a lot, just sort of like there's a lot of Russians in Eve. There's a tremendous number of Frenchmen that have been in Eve since the very beginning. I remember when I first came on board, learning there was a lot of factions. There was a bunch of French who were part of Band of Brothers, actually, with I believe what was his name, Fire 59 was over in that community, and then there's another dude whose name I was forgetting. So maybe you can tell us about the history of the French community in Eve and where it hangs out and how you got started.
Yeah, I started simply because my cousin was playing Eve, and I started playing with section 13, section 13 pour les Français, and then I moved to TCF, which you know a lot.
Section 13 was Robopin's Corp, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I moved to TCF, and then I moved to Goon, and I'm still there.
TCF out of nowhere. So can you tell us a little bit about your corporation?
Yeah, ICE is coming to Eve is in Goon since, I don't know, maybe 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We've had...
it's been here a long time.
Yep.
And at first it was mostly industrial, and now we are just a big Kerber because we all are hot in supercar, like everybody else. And mine like hell, like everybody else.
Right.
But we are trying to push the PvP and, of course, burning Jita.
How is the so are you guys actually in Jita? Like, how is that like from from an international perspective? Like, do you guys get to see people complaining about events like Burn Jita on like the French forums or something, or like what's that like for your guys?
No, because it's really fun. At least for us, because we are on the good side.
Right, I know, but I mean, are you reading the tiers of the people who are French that are not part of our community?
Because in French there are some people which are elite PvP, and of course they always complain about us.
Where do they complain about our guys?
Where?
Is there like a particular French forum that the Eve French community hangs out on, or?
Not really. We had some, but it didn't last. Because the French community is somewhat split. Yeah, let's say split it. Yeah. So we have some big division. I cannot say why, because French people are just dumb. I don't know. I'm from Belgium. That's why I can say that, because I'm not from France.
That's amazing. So this division, the Korean community, we were talking to Twizzle Spark about this last week. The Korean community is divided in two, and apparently the major source of division there was one of those guys had sued another group, like literally real life litigation lawsuits from one side of the Eve community in Korea to the other. Do you have any idea what the division in the French community is about, like what the factions are based around?
No, not really. I cannot say faction. It's just a division. Some like big corps, some others like I don't know, one person PvP, solo PvP, elite PvP, and that's it. And they don't speak to each other. I don't know. I think it's the French.
Would you say that the Imperium has the largest concentration of French corporations in Eve currently?
Yes.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
yes. Yeah,
See,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
See,
we
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I
go.
I don't want to interrupt, but I remember the thing about French that's always fascinating to me, and we've always had a French corp with us since TCF disbanded. And my very first experience with a French corp was the very first time I took a Titan bridge. It was on a French Leviathan. I can't
The Frogapults.
Yeah, the very first Titan I ever saw was a French Leviathan, and it made me want to get one, and that's the reason I have one today, is because it looked like the coolest ship in EVE. And this is back when we lived in
TCF out of nowhere.
Esoteria. That's
exactly.
when we lived in Esoteria, and it was so cool.
It's maybe the Titan from Viper Killer, which was a great French FC.
Yes, Viper Killer. I remember him. We had there's a lot of heroes during the Great War, and they're heroes because we won, and that means we get to say that they're heroes. To the other side, they're presumably villains. But like back in the Dark Ages, one of the reasons why we have such a strong international community in our crew is originally Red Storm Federation was of course Red Alliance, which is all Russians, Goonswarm, which is all jerks in space, and then TCF, which is the French community that wanted to get together and work together. And so then, we've been working together with the French and the Russian communities from the Goonswarm side since, like 2006, basically, because they were the only people who would give our little outlaw empire the time of day and not try to exterminate us like everybody else did. And so it is interesting. Like basically, like after TCF, Robopin and Amarame was one of the best diplomats in the game. Besides Valrad, and he was the French diplomat from TCF, and then of course TCF was handed over to Silmarius, and then you have we have been on some of the most amazing benders in Paris, actually rolling around with the Imperium French community, friends and Goonswarm people who used to be in TCF with us. Speaking of the French community, how many Quebecois have you encountered as part of the French community?
Not so much just because of the time zone, but we have in our corp we have some Canadian people.
Mm.
But
yeah,
the time zone is like with the USA.
Yeah.
The Noisy Gamer has a really funny comment in chat, which is he thought that the reason why Goons worked well with the French and the Russians is that they couldn't understand
Actually,
Goons.
I'm not gonna lie. That actually might be the case, because there's always that joke that the only people that'll ever work with us are Russians at this point, and that all the other English-speaking people we've either pissed off or killed.
I think that it's safe to say that in general our international community actually speaks English better than we do.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's not really.
One of my favorite French goons is a guy named Noah Escape, who is a French Canadian guy, and so I always make jokes about France. He's like, but I'm Canadian. Quit it.
So I wanna sort of move us on here because Guy has a little bit of drinking to do. However, before we go, we asked Twizzlespark to tell everybody in Korean how his corporation was awesome and why the Korean community that was not part of the Imperium should give a look to his corp. And also, the reality is we just wanted to hear people speak in their native language because it sounds awesome. So I'm going to brace myself here. And so why don't you just go nuts in French and tell everybody about your corp and why people should join, or you can just make fun of my red shirt in French and I won't know.
Ok. En fait, le gros inconvénient de l'Alliance, c'est la structure et tous les outils qui sont mis à disposition. J'ai fait pas mal d'alliances, pas mal de corps, et j'ai jamais rien vu de tel. Franchement, c'est assez impressionnant. Donc voilà. Et c'est vrai que Mitani a un t-shirt rouge assez ridicule. Ok, Mitan, it's done. I mock you a little, but it's okay.
So what? I love it because I have no idea what he's saying. So he could be saying "fuck mittens, fuck boat." This is ridiculous, and we'd have no idea.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I've actually always kind of wanted to learn French. My father periodically goes off to vacation on various islands where it's part of, sort of the French universe, and it's just fascinating to me. I love the sound of it, and also I really like foie gras and steak tartare. And when Bode and I were last in Paris together, Bode was getting really, really drunk and causing an international incident with the Sword Dragon.
That's not my fault, okay? It's
not your fault. But I was really excited because I could get foie gras or steak tartare at 4 in the morning between, like, we were bar hopping and clubbing, and it was just like we'd stop at these places that would be open all night, and instead of like in America where you get like crappy diner food after you're out drinking, it's Paris. And so it's like, oh, I'll just order steak tartare at 4 a.m. and just wallow in decadence.
The goon that set up that Eve meet.
He mocks my red shirt. That's excellent.
Yeah, the goon that set up that Eve meet actually took myself and 2 other goons to a southern French cuisine restaurant downtown Paris, and I had frogwa with bacon on a salad. It was a giant frogwa bacon salad. The bowl had to be as big as my hat is round. It was just this giant bowl of salad, but it had more meat and bacon and other things than the salad itself. It was so good. So
one of the best things about one of the things I really enjoy doing here, and I'm thinking I might actually make FanFest this year. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to commit to that yet. I'll know more in a week. I didn't go last year. It was very confusing and disturbing for everyone. But one of the best things about what we do is, like, you know, we get to fly all around the world, and there's always our space nerd friends, and it's like, hey, you get to go to Paris and hang out with actual French people and Belgians, and they get to show you the world. We should totally do that with Montreal and gorge ourselves on foie gras. Oh boy!
Speaking of traveling around the world, PL is actively deployed to Curse. This just in from Pandemic Legion friends.
Good segue, Boat. Good segue. That's good. That's actually
I ask, why are you going to Curse? His reply, why not?
Well, yeah, so this is the thing. We've got it confirmed from scouting reports. I was seeing a recon scan posted to me just a few minutes ago in another channel. So you hear it live here first. We report, we decide, and we have reported and decided that PL is going to deploy towards Curse as of right now. This is in the aftermath of something we'll be talking about shortly, of the initiative's heroic Alamo moment.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end.
A huge pile of idiots and just murdered the hell out of a Pandemic Horde capital fleet, and you're going to be seeing a lot of shakeups. But I want to, again, please guys, let's throw up some Black Eagles and INN symbols and whatever the hell you feel like. Play with the new emotes in chat to thank Gagi for joining us and giving us a window into our French community. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much. I hope I wear my hat right. I tried to do all Napoleon with my hat in honor of our French
I've been reading a biography of Napoleon recently, and it's absolutely fascinating, but I'm weird, so, you know, whatever.
Yeah, he was always interesting to me because of his military background, like artillery and all that. It was just him. Yeah, I like reading about him too, so. But excellent. We will move on, because we got more stuff. So thanks, Gaggy!
You're welcome.
Enjoy your alcohol.
Have some lovely Belgian beer for us. That's
and so we'll take a moment to move on to the next segment here.
Well, we should do the top story because we actually have the animations for that.
I'm gonna click
I love the fact that we actually have So another thing, guys, is that if you have ideas for emotes that you'd like us to add to the channel, let us know there. Like I said, we're going to end up getting like a feedback form added to the Twitch info panels because the creative department kicks ass, takes names, and makes these cool subscriber badges and emotes for you guys to play with. So if you know, we'll have a form for that later. But in the short term, if you just have a cool idea, you can just type it in chat and I'll notice it.
So speaking of our top story, before we move over to our wonderful guest, Booty Tooth here. Bony Tooth. I keep calling him Boony Tooth, like with 2 O's. But we just ganked a freighter. Apparently all the reps and anti-gankers were set up on this one that we were bumping, and we ganked a different one. Lol.
Wow.
Lol. So, yeah, welcome, our wonderful wonderful guest. Looking all fancy with his hair.
A beautiful man.
Yeah, he was like styling his hair before the show. I mean, I just stepped out of the shower, didn't give a crap. And
Vantion Games just subscribed 2 months. Fuck FCon. Yes. Now, normally I don't want to interrupt what we're doing here.
Tyler's 82 also.
FCon emote. How would we have a fuck FCon emote?
I can get us one. I've already had someone ask me how to do it. It literally would just say fuck FCon.
I'm literally going to write that down. It's like in big words. Fuck FCon. Yeah, I'm going to say that we need to have that emote. Now, like I said, I wouldn't normally want to interrupt what we're talking about when somebody subs with a message because we try to keep to the subscriber.
Oh, good news!
Stuff.
As we're
fuck FCon.
While we're on the topic of things to do, Frugo.net is the French forum for Eve players. So Gaggy wanted us to link that real quick, so we have linked that.
And it's going to like crash pretty rapidly. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about. So I'm just going to say, Boney, dude. This is the first, so you've done a lot of Bernjitas before, you run the Ministry of Love, and before we talk about the crazy false flag operation that you guys pulled off successfully just days before this started, tell me what it's like running Burn Jita in a post-Goonhammer environment?
Fucking exhausting.
Why? Why is it exhausting?
I woke up at server downtime yesterday, and I went until about 0800, and then I woke up like 5 hours later, and so it's been great actually. It's been a non-stop, like, absolute slaughter fest of freighters. We had 250-man fleets up right after downtime yesterday, and it's just been going non-stop. The only thing that's stopping us is when Jita is kill. And small breaks.
Kill. Just like yesterday when I tried to stream, Jita was kill immediately until they remaped the node.
It was such perfect timing,
How many node
too.
remaping have you seen?
We've remaped the node has been remaped 4 times. 4 times, I believe.
Yeah,
And it's always still remaped the node. They still haven't fixed the typo.
No, I think that typo's been there for years.
All the server too. That's another good emote idea is cat drugs. We do need cat drugs.
So the funny thing is, so I just got linked to Kill Mill. It's 4.5 billion. It's all helium isotopes. So rip whoever needs fuel.
Wow.
All those Archons.
And Cuck Fcon just donated $3. I made you guys a new character. His name is Fuck Fcon with a space.
That is excellent.
But yeah.
So I mean, in the past when we've done this, you know, the Imperium previously had members that, including FCON, Fuck FCON, who wouldn't allow their members to participate in Burn Jita because they thought that they were better than us. They thought that burning Jita was a bad thing, even though we're doing it for the kids. And so this is the first opportunity that many long-standing members of the Imperium are now in Goonswarm and have had an opportunity to actually do the right thing, which is burn Jita for kids. So, you know, in the past when we do it, Warakini, who founded Mini Love and plays from Tokyo, Warakini turned up and was helping Bony Tooth. The very opening bell of Burn Jita, how many fleets did we have?
Two full fleets.
So that's more than
500
people active burning Jita at the opening bell, the stroke of midnight GMT on Friday. So that's pretty crazy. How much have you guys blown up so far?
The last check I saw was right at 392. I bet we're at 400 now.
I got a link. Just 1 second.
We have a nice, easy link for you guys to check for this, which is really badass because we have one corporation that you can simply follow, so we've been charting it. Kit Thrace, thank you, Mittens, for letting me in Goons. I love you. Well, Kit Thrace is shout out here to Kit. Again, interrupting things to give praise where it's due. Kit has been with us for years in one form or another, and he is always looking for ways to help the common cause.
Yeah, so...
anyway.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. We're at 394 billion.
I just really like Kit. So.
201 ships killed. And so the cool thing is we made an awesome space corp. I think it was Jay, Amazingness, that made this corp called Suddenly Seaman, a naval charity. And a lot of our characters are named Burn Jita for the kids with numbers behind it. Like mine's BJ Burn Jita for the Pope.
You just love telling people about your BJ.
Oh, I do! I can't stop! It's such a great name! I'm surprised I haven't banned yet, because, well, it's very, very bad. But yeah, so there's a lot.
I don't understand what you mean. I mean,
so,
burning Jita for the kids.
Right.
What's weird about that?
I'm doing it for
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And Eve are
Charities
normal,
need to happen.
Right?
You're right. Exactly. We needed. Can you believe that this idea for Burn Jita for the kids came up
Literally born
on the Meta Show?
Born on
the Meta Show. Yeah, just like randomly making jokes.
Here, boys and girls. The history of the last 2 Burn Jita events actually began through coincidences like this. So when we burned Amar, which was, I believe, the last time we did a Burn Jita was actually Burn Amar. Is that correct, Boney?
That's correct. 2015.
That's right. So we did a Burn Amar, and that actually started around a table. And Noisy Gamer is watching this now in chat. I noticed earlier, and he can validate this. Is that literally we had a Madison monthly Eve meet, and we were at the time was being held at the Comeback Inn in Madison, Wisconsin, and it was me and Noisy and Scion and a few other of our reprobates sitting around, and we just were talking about random stuff, and the idea came up of, you know, this year, why don't we do something different? And in the name of Maximilian Singularity, the 6th, first of his name, the true emperor, that we should burn Amar. And it might have even been Noisy who like threw that idea out there, and I was like,
Noisy
we're gonna
as in like
do
Noisy
it.
Gamer?
And, yeah, Noisy Gamer.
Wow,
yeah,
you actually know him. See, he always stops by, but I always never knew he like knew
Dude's
us.
legit. He's in Chicago,
Yeah.
and he occasionally deigns to grace us with his presence. But like he was there. He witnessed us decide to do Burn and Mar, and we came up with it there. Just like now, Burn Jita for Kids, we came up with it live on the Meta Show, however many months ago.
You in real life, because I remember a while back when you wanted me to kill White Noise. We were in Madison. You're like, Boat, come here, Boat. Come over here, Boat. Just come here. We're gonna go kill White Noise. I need you to FC like 16-hour days.
So many of the best ideas happen though when you're hanging out with your friends
you're
in
drunk.
the real world, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the thing, is that like there's so much stuff that happens in EVE in the metagame that people are like going like, oh, it was this complicated thing or that complicated thing, but it's really just a bunch of space buddies who've been together for a decade, or they're friends. I mean, obviously I've only known Noisy for a few years now, but we're all part of the same group. Well, not the same community, but sort of the extended community.
Back on track, though. Back to
talking.
Burn Jita. So we want to hear about this Ruse Cruise. I almost fucked it up.
This is beautiful.
I almost fucked it up. Let's be honest.
I'm so proud.
Reddit started.
I know.
Because
okay.
Reddit started going off about how they knew it was a Ruse Cruise. They started linking our forums.
No.
And then I was like, oh, it's over.
Our viewers don't know. Let's hand over the floor to Boney. I'm very excited about it too, Boat. So like I want to bounce up and down and interrupt. But Boney, you got the floor. Why don't you tell us the entire story, and Boat and I will sit on our hands and try to be quiet, of the false flag op that secured Burn Jita for the Kids.
Okay. Yeah. So first off, anyone that says like I was never rused, I didn't believe any of it, doesn't even know what they weren't believing to start with, because this is ruses on ruses on ruses. So when we started planning Burn Jita, remember, you kind of sprung it on me. I brought it up in an ill meeting, and you said, okay, when are we having it? Okay, we're having it that day. So immediately we kind of set into plan, like planning things out. One of the things that we are kind of constantly worried for, and this is something that happens every year, is people leaking the Burn Jita info, getting spies into fleet to mess with stuff. I mean, freighters still die, but it's more fun when you don't have people fucking around in your fleet. And at the same time, Minilove and code expert code agent Jason Kujan was facing like a problem. He's a superb multi-box. He multi-boxes like 16 accounts at once, and he needed his own corp. But the issue is he's in the Conference Elite at the moment. If he leaves the Conference Elite, people will think it's scandalous, like, yo, he's leaving the Conference Elite, code is dead, stuff like that. And really, he just needs his own corp for logistics. So credit where credit's due. He and Globby hatched this plan that when he left the Conference Elite from code, he was going to, quote, rob the code hangars. They talked to me. They said, okay, we need some screenshots of big loot. We need some appraisals of big loot so we can say, oh, well, code got robbed. So I gave them over some appraisals, some screenshots, and they go and drop it on Reddit. And of course, it takes off because like gankers do this stuff all the time. We fuck each other over. Globby robbed me for 350 billion. Me and War. Zoppy clone robbed code for 60 billion. Gankers get robbed all the time. It's absolutely believable. Of course, everyone knows that Jason ganks with Minilove. So that night, I had the good idea that as a misdirection play, we can pretend that Minilove got robbed and they lost all of their coercers that we had been pitting for Burn Jita. So the next day, after waking up with a horrible hangover, I talked to Jason and like a wonderful, like, bridging a gap of trust, handed him 20,000 coercers so he could take a screenshot with it saying that he had stolen them. I stripped the roles from his character in our leadership corporation. I kicked his character from the leadership corporation. He took the screenshots, gave the holes back. I then convinced everyone in the Minilove leadership Jabber channel to have a conversation as if the holes got stolen, like, what are we going to do? At the same time, another Minilove FC, Logical Fallacy, was on Tweet Fleet, starting to say, oh my god, our coercer holes are missing, as well as commenting on the Reddit thread where Jason had robbed code. Some people had said, well, does this affect Minilove? What about Burn Jita? And he said, I think it does affect us. We're still looking at the extent of damages. At the same time, the SA thread, the Something Awful thread, took off with people posting all kinds of stuff. We quoted Pookie Bear in the INN article, but immediately even the goons thought that we got robbed. They had conflated the code robbery with the Minilove robbery. So all this stuff is swirling around, and we kind of silently let some logs leak onto Tweet Fleet of the Minilove leadership Jabber channel, which is damning and convinces people that it's real. At the same time, I go into Minilove subforum, and I make a big post saying, oh my god, guys, we're in trouble. We lost all the coercers, and Burn Jita was supposed to be a week away.
Oh my god, this
saying,
is the best.
everybody train Industry 1 and start building coercers. In a Raitaru, we have go to all the different like hubs and buy out all these units we have. And funnily enough, people went and did that. Like, people started asking me if we needed money or stuff, but of course I turned it down. The market for coursers exploded. Right now they're sitting at 5 million per unit, and there's only a few thousand units up. And everybody like bought it hook, line, and sinker. So that Reddit thread got posted.
Good.
And then it all kind of like took off with a life of its own. So next thing we know, Crossing Zebras is covering it. We have someone coming forward claiming to be James 315 himself, and that the robbery had impacted them so much that they can no longer reimburse people's catalysts, as the new code of new code of Halima does.
And then there was a Facebook post, right?
Yes, some people leaked some stuff on Facebook as well and got that swirling around there.
And then the Crossing Zebra stuff, there's another anti-ganker website,
right.
And then of course it finally rolls up to this I just think is beautiful, because let me pause here, because when I say the truth, it makes people at Crossing Zebras and at Evenews 24 very angry. Okay, so I want to point out here, Crossing Zebras and Naiden is a hypocritical outlet that exists only to slander Goonswarm and the Imperium and all of our friends and our allies. They hide behind the idea that they're neutral, but they don't check their facts, and they have a cause, they have an agenda. They get very angry when you call them on the fact. Here at the Imperium News, we're in the business of fear and balanced news. We are for the Imperium community. We make no bones about our allegiance. But at Evenews 24 and Crossing Zebras, Naiden and whoever this other person is here, Pork Cleaner, and all that crew, they like to hide behind the idea that maybe they'll convince 3 or 4 people that they're not actually die-hard anti-Imperium, anti-Goon, bitter Gurgoons types. But over and over again, their own actions prove that they're full of shit and hypocrites.
I tweeted about him one time, and he freaked out. Like, he freaked the fuck out.
Naiden gets very angry when he is called on the reality of who and what he is. He buys into his own bullshit, so he's dangerous. Check this out, though. This is one of the few times you'll see me link an Evenews 24 article in chat. Here is, after all of the false flag hilarity that Boney and crew pulled off, then you get to see publications, articles that are coming out the day before Burn Jita is scheduled to hit, announcing, don't worry guys, Goonswarm got robbed, Code got robbed, there's nothing to see here because
Reddit
Goons
did
are
it
so
too.
bad at Eve. It is beautiful. So all of these idiots bought into their own bullshit, had their little Kool-Aid drinking circle, and then that lines us up to the very first post-Goonhammer Burn Jita, where we are at this point, coercers are a limiting factor.
I'm not going to lie. I fell for it on Saturday, right before the meta show, about an hour before I saw the post. I had to PM Boney because I was going to include it in our news segment about Code being robbed as the top story. And that was going to be in our Death of Alliances, because you had the Facebook post, you had them being robbed. And so I was going to add all this. And then he goes, no, it's a ruse. I'm like, fuck! I had to pull it all out of the news segment. So, yeah, they got me, too. Because, when you first look at it, it's happened to PL in the past, where 100 dreads will just go missing. It's happened to us. Big robberies are possible with groups like Midi Love, because where do you fucking keep all that shit? Well, that's like, where do you want to keep all of it? Like, when you have $1 trillion in assets, where the fuck do you put it? Unless you put it on yourself, and then you just say, fuck it, I'm going to go fuck goods. Like Cartoon did.
Yeah, Code was not robbed after all. This robbery actually happened.
None of it was real.
Into it. So, Bunny, so you pulled this off. What sort of impact have you seen? Has there been? You pulled off this amazing false flag operation. It worked beyond our wildest dreams. And have you seen an impact on, is there less resistance? What sort of impact did this have? Did the anti-gankers not turn up because they thought this wasn't going to happen? What's it been like?
So first off, we noticed that if you look at the kill mails that we got, especially during the first 4 hours of the day, we had a lot of big fucking kills, huge kills that were 11 billion, 13 billion. We secured 20 billion ISK within the first 4 hours. Yeah. And we don't even care about loot. Loot's an afterthought for this. This is just fun. So there were a lot of people that were coming into Jita that had no idea that Burn Jita was happening with big stuff. And a lot of red kills too. We killed a fair number of red jump freighters, red freighters, test. We have a list somewhere. So people weren't deterred at all, as in previous years when it always got leaked. As well, it looks like a lot of the resistance didn't show up. They didn't have their game together. Of course, it's kind of hard to deal with 2 250-man fleets, but it seemed like it provided us just enough, like, this sounds cheesy, but like fog of war under the final weeks of planning to make sure that like we had the element of surprise when we pulled Burn Jita when we started.
Now, in the past, we have seen. This is for people who don't pay close attention to Burn Jita stuff, but in the past, when we have been less subtle about it, and Burning Jita is the least subtle event in EVE. All the nullsec wars, even BR5, Burn Jita impacts more players in more visible of a way, and so it's literally just it's a sledgehammer. There's no subtlety about it at all. But in the past, when we were less subtle, can you say about what the opposition would try to form up, and they would try to do things? What would you see in the past that's not there now? Like, what would these people do when they had one?
I'd give you a big example.
Actually, I just want to hear from
both. Sorry.
I remember in Burn Amar, we had a lot of smart bombing people. We haven't really seen too many people smart bombing the people that have generally been wanting to kill pods, and that's not really like an interference activity. That's just good old-fashioned fun ganking. Burn Jita 3, I remember the War Deckers showed up on Friday night and boat chased them around, and I think Powers hired Noir, and they left for Saturday and Sunday. Didn't even mess with us anymore. I don't think anybody's even in the position of coordination to actually strike against Burn Jita from like the War Deck side.
Is that because that community is sort of like they're not really trying to coordinate something against it? Are they sort of just letting this Burn Jita thing happen, or what?
I think the people that would have been interested in coming and like proverbially fucking shit up in Jita were unprepared or didn't know that it was actually going on this weekend. Like I think
because they got to bring a lot of smaller corporations together, network them, plan for this, right?
Yeah, and I think as well the timing of the EN24 article like really brought back into question like, is this actually going to happen? Is it happening soon? Because it hit Thursday.
I think it had a lot to do with effort too, because like CO2 last night goes, oh, we're gonna go form a rupture MOA fleet and snipe their gankers. So I got like 10 battleships together and was going to smart bomb, pipe bomb them. And they never showed up. We sat there for like an hour waiting for them to show up, and they just never showed up. We had 10 battleships ready to go. So like every year, that's my passion, is fucking with the anti-gankers, right? Warping a battleship fleet on top, like, because what happens is, you'll see on screen, like, all the bumpers will bump this Orca way over here or something, right? They'll bump it way out of the way. All the anti-gankers will swarm around it. She just warped in like 2 or 3 battleships and wiped them all out. And then gank it. And that shit's funny as hell. But the last Burn Jita, CCP interfered. I don't know if you remember this, Mittens, but they put a splash image when you would log in saying avoid Jita, it's currently under duress or something like that. And every person that logged in would see that. They didn't do that this year.
Yeah, that is interesting, but that's also probably because the CCP was informed through channels that this was going to happen. And
yeah,
I want to point out here another thing that was I was asked questions about this on my show yesterday when we were streaming during one of the node remaping. There's a few idiot puppies who popped up in the chat that then got commissar'd, which felt great, and that's where we got to see the first commissar spam emotes, which was awesome. Basically accusing of us wanting to crash the nodes. We don't want to crash the nodes. We don't want the node to be remaped because we have a target, right? Every year we try to outdo ourselves in terms of the amount of damage and chaos and carnage done, even though these are not fair comparisons because the game often is getting harder and harder for gankers because CCP makes it easier to be safe in EVE Online and HiSec. So each year it's a higher challenge, and yet we're still trying to hit a higher bar of damage done. So we don't want the nodes to be down because every minute that the nodes are down, that's a time that we can't be having our criminal timers slowly counting down. Like we want to be out there ganking as much as we possibly can. So CCP, it's not their fault. They knew this was going to happen. Every time EVE changes, the code base changes and things get a little wacky. So we want the nodes up, and the game is always changing. So don't just go grr CCP. Burn Jita is probably one of the most frighteningly complex activities on one system in EVE that the game has ever seen.
By the way, just to make it clear, we're here to help kids, and we're not here to murder everyone. We're here to promote the liberation of all of these goods out of illegal freighter activities. We're just here to help people.
Kids.
Right, for kids, because you don't see freighters roaming around 0-0 like you do HiSec, so we're just here to liberate the goods for the kids. I just want to make that clear.
Wow.
So this is just a charity event for 3.
What has been? So I just want another couple questions here for Boney, and we're gonna have to, Boat. I know that you got to take off after, but a few more questions here. There's only a few bits of nullsec news, so I'm just gonna keep the focus here on Burnjita because it's awesome, and I am so fucking proud of what Boney and the boys have pulled off here. Like, it's not just that they're kicking ass and taking names, fighting an uphill battle into a node that's being remaped. The espionage style metagaming that these dudes pulled off with that false flag operation is some classic Black Hand before Mittens became CEO kind of stuff. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I started playing Eve for, that little espionage thing. So, Boney, I know you are so busy and you have multiple fleets out right now, and you're actually being taken away from that to tell everybody about this. But what has been thus far, besides the false flag thing, because it might be that, but besides the false flag thing, what has been the coolest thing about this year's Burnjita that you've seen so far?
I've got 2. It's a tie.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
We had a red jump freighter, and as soon as the fleet caught warp down to it, it caught warp to a citadel. It turns out that the citadel was owned by a fairly popular ganker who has his citadels closed off on the ACL to everybody. So the jump freighter just landed on the citadel and sat there. And we warped the fleet in and dunked it on top of it. Like, he got this glimmer of hope, like, oh my god, I've gotten away from the gank fleet right as they're hot on my tails, and then, like, warped straight into a closed door.
Okay, that's one. That's excellent. What's the second one?
After the Cheetah node came back up earlier today, right before the Ilum meeting, we had an ARC that we had bumped and had logged off. We kept him abreast the entire time that Cheetah was killed. Had both the fleets log back in, realized that neither fleet had not had the DPS to kill him, so we landed both fleets at a Raitaru perimeter, and then simultaneously on comms coordinated the warp into the target with both fleets, and killed this ARC under pressure from like 50 anti-gankers, and like threw him up fucking dead.
That's amazing.
Real quick, I know a lot of people asked this during my show yesterday. How much, and I was kind of confused on this too, how much do these Logi anti-gankers really help? When you guys are trying to gank something and you have these overwhelming numbers of DPS ships, does these 10 Ospreys really make that much of a difference?
Nope.
Because they're a hull tank for the most part, yeah? Like, the armor and shield isn't really going to do anything, right?
Okay, so if we were ganking in, like, Udama or a 0.5 or a 0.6, and we weren't bringing a very significant amount of DPS. Like, we bring some overkill for most of these, but not that much overkill. It would be a bigger issue because you have like 30 seconds to DPS the ship. So that's 30 seconds that their reps go off. In Cheetah, if it's shield reps, the reps fire once and then Concord's there and killing us by the time they get around to the second repair cycle.
Oh, I see. So they'd have to alpha rep it with like 100 of them.
Yeah, they would have to alpha rep it. That's not even gonna do it. Armor reps probably usually don't apply unless like you time your cycles luckily or something.
This is just amazing. Like, the sheer amount of coordination. I don't know whether you want to say exactly how many. Do you think it's OPSEC, or is it all right to tell people on the show how many coercers did you bring to the table for this?
Actually, can I go back to that previous question real quick?
Go for it.
Yeah, of course.
The overwhelming opinion in Minilove is never acknowledge the anti-gankers, like never give them acknowledgement in articles or on Reddit or anything like that because it edifies them. But the fact of the matter is, like, I've been watching the same people run interference on my ganks for about 2 years now. Some of them are kind of cool. Some of them are annoying piss hands. In the early days, they would do stuff like, try to rep the freighter. Or they would try to jam out some of our DPS, or they tried tracking disruptors, sensor dampeners, stuff like that. And in the end, they realized that like so many of those methods just don't work for saving freighters, or they can't execute them with the skill required to do so. So instead now, they've turned into like this weird, twisted, morphed version of themselves, where now they try to gank materials and like to smart bomb fleets and destroy pods and steal loot from us and bump our freighters. And I think that that's like the greatest feeling in the world because they started out in this place of purity where we're saving the freighters, we're protecting HiSec from like the evil gankers, and now they're the evil gankers themselves. Like, that's what they do. So many of them, they have to use throwaway characters because their sex status gets too low, and they advocate people not ruining their sex status on their main characters and using alpha accounts to smart bomb and things like that. Like, that, I think, is just the most amazing thing in the world.
You are helping introduce them to the dark side. You are letting the hatred flow through them, and that's fantastic. I love that. The corruption of the anti-ganker crew. Well, it's sort of like a 40K reference here. It's sort of like an Inquisitor that first comes on as bright and shiny and wants to fight chaos and be a Puritan, and then as they descend into the messy realities of the world, next thing you know, they're meddling with the warp. And that's an Eisenhorn reference, and I just dated myself. All right, so Boat, actually, just to change the subject here briefly, Boat, do we know who's coming up next on the Boat Show replacement?
Yeah, so we have our usual meeting, and then as soon as that meeting's over, it's going to be Gommel Knox for an extended period of time, so he's going to take over for me.
Okay.
So he's going to make sure he doesn't miss the meeting. The only reason I'm not going to be here today, guys, is sorry, I got a phone call about an hour before the show informing me that we're throwing my mom's birthday party as a surprise today instead of tomorrow. And I was planning on tomorrow, so I was free tomorrow, and I'm not having to go to it, so yeah. But it's my mother, so I'm not going to miss her day.
Of course not. Well,
but
I
yeah,
want to go
so
ahead.
before we get to the end of this, we're out of time. We got a few minutes. I'd like to talk about our Eve News, because we had 3 really big pieces of Eve News.
Yeah, we can run a little long,
yeah,
and make sure that we cover the Eve News.
Yeah, so this has to be covered because it's huge. Like, first we have Initiative, who have managed in their hard work and dedication to draw out the Pandemic Horde capital fleet and just decimate it. Now, they did lose an Avatar.
Now, this is big, guys. So
Now,
what we're seeing
yeah.
here, and you might have to play with the battle report a bit. I mean,
No, this is as
almost
accurate as it gets, yeah. This is good.
Right, this is, well, sometimes people, the battle reports shift when you load it. It depends. But what we're dealing with here is outnumbered 3-1. 3-1. Initiative, easily one of the most dangerous groups in the Imperium. And I mean, people say Goonswarm is dangerous, but I run it, and I know that we are a sledgehammer. But compared to Sister Bliss and his crew, of anybody in the Imperium that I would never, ever, ever piss off if I was on the outside of it, it would be don't mess with Sister Bliss. Yet people keep trying to mess with the Initiative. Outnumbered 3-1.
Yeah,
3-1. And the only reason why on this battle report they didn't come out completely victorious, the only reason why it looks roughly even, despite being outnumbered 3-1, is because of one Titan.
Right.
They vaporized basically all of Pandemic Horde's capital fleet.
Well, where this is a big deal, it's not even P Horde. It was Darkness that took a big run of this. Horde only took out 160 billion, which is still a big number. But it was Darkness that took like 200 billion damages. And what's really, really big about this, and what people don't notice, the only reason Titans were there is they quad doomsdayed with the Lance. If you remember the old AoE doomsdays, how you'd have to hit 2 or 3 and you'd wipe out a whole fleet, well, with the new Lance involved, if you land 4 of those on a capital blob that's blobbed up together, that's it, they're done. There's no surviving that. They barely survived 2, and they hit them with 4. So that's the only reason the Avatars and other Titans were even on the field. They tried something crazy. They zonked like 200 billion of Dreads and Carriers in one swath. And then they moonwalked out 3 of the Dread or Titans, and then the other one got tackled. So they almost got all of them out. They would have been like no Titan losses at all. So
I'm gonna link the BR again.
Oh, BFG! It was a BFG, so they were right on top of them. Holy shit! It was yeah. That thing is nasty. I shot it once at a fleet, and it did like it put a carrier in half armor to give you an idea of how strong it is at Archon. So
Koala Yummies is saying that people are missing the fact that after Initiative died, NC killed everything else on the field. So are you implying that NC just like they have always done with the other allies from the Money Badger Coalition, have turned on their friends and abused them like they have done historically over and over and over again? That would be shocking to me. I'm not surprised at all, but again, the thing I want to point out here is that we have some initial reports. And there's going to be a battle report on this on Imperium News as soon as our writers finish pinning this. Hopefully we'll get that out today. And then there's another bit of follow-on news. This being connected, and the follow-on news, we are not announcing it yet because it has been confirmed, and it's actually coming not from reporting, but from other sources. But there's going to be a lot of political ramifications from this battle. PL is deploying to Curse. There are questions about how effective Pandemic Horde is going to be in terms of replacing these losses, and we're just going to have to see how this plays out.
Yeah. The next one, real quick on the Eve News, is the same type of thing happened with the Dread Bombs in test space. If you can get that link for me, Mittens, I lost it for a moment. But Test did a dumb. So they have the guy named Blue Ice, who's just a run-of-the-mill FC. Used to be the head FC.
This is the 3 supers getting lost?
Right, he used to be the head FC of Brave Newbies. Not a lot of tests like him. They don't like him at all. He's Australian time zone, very rarely does things, but he's been ratting in his hell. And last week he got his hell tackled and had to call everyone in the world to come save it. And he called for
We are
gaps and
officially
supers and
over
tights.
400 billion ISK. Sorry, we just got the word. We just got the good word. We are
Ooh,
officially over
nice.
400 billion ISK. On
Only 200 to
this
go. Yay! But yeah, so back to this real quick before I gotta go. So he's been calling people to save it. The Russians do this. The Russians dread bomb with like 30 dreads, but they weren't enough. This time they slow played it. Expert slow play. Blue Ice isn't supposed to call for Titans or Supers. He's not even a Cap FC. So what do the Russians do? They drop 2 carriers on a tackled Oracle. Test brings Hurricanes. So they drop fax machines to keep the carriers alive. Test goes, oh, it's just fax machines and a few battleships. So they drop 5 super carriers and dreads at 0 on the fax machines. The fax machine lit a Sino and dropped in 55 Russian dreads and just started blapping. Then Blue Ice panics, starts calling for even more help, starts bat-voting people, and as far as I know, the rumor on the street is there was like a 20-page thread of Test going, what the fuck? Why is this guy allowed to exist? He can't even call for caps. How did he get my super killed? One of them, which was the hell that survived last week.
Wow. We had a rumor here posted in chat, which I can at least confirm that we have heard those rumors. Harrietta has said in chat that there is chatter that in the aftermath of the initiative's heroic 3-1 battle there, that Horde might have such financial trouble that they may be deploying backwards, retreating, running away.
Yeah, that's just a rumor. We haven't confirmed that yet. We're looking at
But that is, it's a rumor that now is seen through other sources that was posted in chat here. So that's always interesting to see. But we'll find out, and we will report on it, and we will decide it as well once we're able to actually confirm any of that.
Yeah, so, and then one last thing in news, huge game-breaking changes were announced by CCP for the March patch coming. This is kind of part of CCP Please, part of news, but the Rorqual is getting changed. They are turning the Panic module into a mining laser. The only way that they could find a way to change it to make it not broken is turn it into mining laser. Mining lasers, for people who don't play EVE, that are watching because they love our voices, mining lasers only work when you lock an asteroid. Since there's no asteroids on gates or Sino-jammers or beacons, you won't be able to use the Panic module, which means you can't use a jump picture anymore. So we
have one bit of a shout out here in chat from Whip Daddy Whip. He points out that Snuff and Project Mayhem need recognition as well on helping Initiative. They were on Initiative side. Snuff and Project Mayhem have been working a lot with the Initiative, and so it's. I mean, I love Sister Bliss. I've met Sister Bliss. He looks like he should be the front man from a Clash era punk band. Like the dude is like a badass in the real world, and so I often write little love letters here on the Meta Show about sort of what a man crush I have on Sister Bliss. But it's absolutely true. Thank you, Whip Daddy Whip, for pointing out credit where it is due. It wasn't just the Initiative, it was also their local allies in Snuff and in Project Mayhem who helped make that fight the success that was. It could have been a massacre.
Waffles usually helps Initiative, but this time they sided with Horde, which was different. Apparently Waffles was the reason that Titan got tackled, which was surprising because usually they are the low-sec guys that help Initiative along with Snuff and them. So that was very interesting. And then, so the Rorqual change is coming. That's a big news change. And the last little bit of the show here we're going to do is Hector changes. For those that don't know, focus points go out to 39 kilometers now. That is getting nerfed to 20 kilometers. And there is a screaming from the low-sec community because that's how they tackle super carriers, is that long focus point. And they're
also fighters. I mean, this is probably a massive change. In general, fighters getting their sig radius is doubled. So we're going to have to see some of these things we're already. Hotkeys for fighter.
Right, which is huge because people that multi-box, it's a lot easier to play StarCraft Online than it is use your mouse, so that's going to be a big deal too. So a bunch of changes coming in March. We'll probably talk about that more next week as they are hitting in the March patch. And also structures are getting changed. They're adding repair modules to all citadels, so you no longer have to undock and just sit there, which was CCP's solution just a couple days ago. Oh, you can just undock your Titan and park it on the Asher House. It'll be fine.
Citadels are fantastic. I absolutely
love them.
Oh, and new Cormorant model, new Flycatcher model. Holy crap, the new Flycatcher.
And Chimera.
And Chimera as well. But I mean, really. That
But yeah, there's
catcher battle.
For those who are going, oh god, what the hell? The reason a lot of people are upset is the Garmer. For those who don't know, Garmer gets a long point, like a really long point range, and Hictors can no longer touch it. Which is the people used Hictors as a way to counter like long range interceptors before. When they were fleet fights, they would be great tacklers. A Hictor would just swat them out of the sky, and now they can't anymore. So. Yeah, it's going to be cool. A lot of cool changes come. CCP's finally listening. This is, the last year or so, they've been doing a great job of, hey, this shit's broken, we need to fix it. Which is not something that they usually do. Fozzie, I mean, look at this people. It took years.
Well, it was the bad era of the Fozzie
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, the Citadel team has been fantastic. We've got the CSM elections coming up in the next 2 weeks. They'll start March 7th. You know, it seems like ever since Alpha Clones have happened, you know, PCU is going up. The game devs are implementing intelligent changes that instead of seeing something, I mean, Fozzie Stav is still hot garbage. The entire thing could be replaced somehow by taking Citadels and making them integral to SOV. That would, I think, be a lot better. The Citadel mechanics, everything that was horrible about Fozzie Stav mechanics, CCP has sort of redeemed themselves with the Citadel mechanics. I mean, and the way they went about that and talking to the player base. You know, it's a great time to play EVE, and our community is expanding, and we're having a lot of fun. Now we're getting to show our appreciation for what CCP has brought us. Burning Jita for the kids.
Yes, thanks, Booty. Sorry, you've been kind of quiet lately.
Booty.
I call him Booty. I like the name Booty because he just looks like
Ships.
Booty. Just looks like someone like Boney. Sorry, looks like someone you could stick out in like the middle of the swamp in Georgia, and he'd have a grand old time. You know. Look at his face.
You just say
What
hang
the
out
fuck?
in a swamp in Georgia.
No, like if you can imagine, like oh, what is that? There's
People
a
in New
great
York
movie.
actually do wear beards now. Like just because you're wearing a
Oh.
beard doesn't mean that you're like a Cajun like.
No, a lot of
you're not
people
a
compare him to
Creole.
Laz. So, like when you think of Laz, like in Savannah, like a Savannah Southern boy, you know, like that, you know.
I'm actually
I-
from South Carolina, so
Exactly. See, there we go.
So all we have on this channel is a whole bunch of proper Southern gentlemen sitting around and discussing our time and our love for internet spaceship games, while we sip our mint juleps on a veranda.
This just got linked by Kit Trice. Thank you for this link. This guy is amazing. So we had the pastor of Burnjita give a sermon to the fine members of Mumble earlier yesterday, and it was if you haven't heard it yet, he has the cadence down and everything. It was perfect, perfect.
that was made
Alright.
by Dragalis Maraxim from Minilove.
Yes, and it's very
Um,
possible that he might be doing our welcome to INN speech. I did a ping about it a moment ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Well-
we're out of time. We gotta go.
I think you've got to go hang out with
Yes.
your mother, and thank
got-
you all for coming, and thank you Boneytooth, thank you Gagi for our international segment, thank you Matterall and the team. Also, as we are getting, as we're ending the show here, Boat, can you play the stinger again for our outro this time? Before the outro.
There it is, right there.
We're gonna do it.
But yeah, so hopefully by this time next week we'll also have some.
Thank you guys so much for coming, and oh hey, there's the outro. It's playing right now, probably over
Yeah,
my
so
voice.
bye. No, it doesn't play over your voice because
Bye,
you got to
guys.
remember, as it ends, you started talking, so it's perfect.
Oh good, I didn't realize that that I had done that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
that is such a badass
So
thing.
yeah,
That
Gommel
was
Knox
so great.
will be coming up next. I'm sorry I can't make my show today, but yeah, well, Gommel takes over and he's wonderful. So bye everyone.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
Ryan and Creative Heart Owens. Cheers, guys. Thanks for coming, and we will see you next week. And tomorrow I'll be streaming at the same time.
Yep. Bye.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.